Hi friends, Stina and Benji here. I thought I would tell you a little bit about how and why I got started in van life. So here's who I am. For the last 6 years, I'd quit my career as a hairstylist and I went on the road by myself with my dog, full-time van lifing in a self-built van. I wanted to tell you my origin story a little bit. And this is I'm going to try to make this the abridged version. I'll do more down the road, but let's give you guys a little intro into who I am and why and how I got started van lifing. It was during COVID. This is a bit of a cliche. I'm not unique. I'm unique for where I was in my life. I was the only person doing this. And I take that back. There was a gal in my apartment complex who had done it, and I learned from her. But other than that, in my career field, in my bubble of social, my friends and my peers, this wasn't even a conversation. Nobody was watching this on YouTube. This was not a topic we were talking about. Nobody talked about going to see the national parks. Nobody talked about seeing the world in a van with their dog. This was not on my radar. It was during COVID. We were shut down. I have a whole story. My dogs died. I had 2 dogs that were 16 years old. They died over Christmas together on the same day. It was terrible. I had to put them down. They were both dying at the same time. It was really hard. I did it while I was working. I had to leave work, go take care of it, and come back to work as a hairstylist. I was working 7 days a week. This was right before COVID hit. And just as COVID hit, I had been working my most. I was self-employed. I loved my clients and I didn't say no. I would work every day. And like anybody doing something for 30 years, I hit burnout. When COVID hit, it was a break that I would have never taken on my own. I have a high work ethic. I would have never stopped moving, never stopped working, and I would have never said no to a client. So I was forced to stop. I was alone. I was sad from losing my dogs. I had come out of a past that I don't talk about very often. I had an abusive marriage in my past. That was a big part of my life. I raised his kids. He said if I left, I wouldn't see the kids. That whole story, that's a whole nother story for another day. I got out of that relationship. I got free. I was single. It wasn't working for me. Nothing in life was working out. Dating wasn't working out. The marriage didn't work out. That was garbage. God, that was garbage. That was terrible. The mental health from that wasn't great. And so here I am alone in an apartment, forced to shut down with COVID. Oh, here's another thing. I got sober. I used to like to go to happy hours because everybody in my career, everybody in my world drinks. I'm not saying there's something wrong with that. I'm saying for me, it wasn't working out. Wine and beer, happy hours, socializing, the dating world, none of that was filling my heart. None of that was helping me reach my potential. Here's something I didn't know about myself. I didn't know what I was capable of. I didn't know. The things that I've done on the road, 6 years of van lifing and traveling the entire continent of North America, I had no idea what I was capable of. So when COVID shut us down, I got sober. I took a look at myself. I took a look at what wasn't working and I stopped it. And by stopping it, I stopped drinking. And again, I wouldn't call myself an alcoholic. I just stopped drinking wine and beer. I stopped dating the guys in my dating pool. I even stopped hanging out with the people in my social world. I just stopped what wasn't working for me and started to make a vision board, watch some YouTube videos and see. I had no idea what I would even like. I didn't know what I liked. I used to run, I used to work out, still do. Not running right now because I have a foot injury, surgery. But those things weren't working for me to fill my heart. They were sort of medication to get me through life, which they still do. But they were nowhere near expanding who I am and growing me as a person. And I believe we are all here to expand and grow. Benji. I believe we are not meant to stay the same. And yes, you can have a life of doing the same things and being happy and fulfilled. That wasn't working for me. It was not filling my heart, and nor was it growing me, expanding me, and helping me reach my potential. So I stopped the things that didn't work, and I started to look on YouTube and see what caught my attention, and I made a vision board. And I remember I cut out a picture of a gal sitting in the back of a teeny tiny truck or teeny tiny little van, camping. It was a self-build. And I remember I stuck that on my vision board. Who would have thought inside, I don't know, weeks, months, I would have gone out and got a Ford Transit Connect, $7,000 for this little Ford Transit Connect. They're teeny tiny. They're the size of a car, but you can put the seat down. And I self-built that. I turned that into a camper. By this point, I had gotten Benji as my puppy, so he was a part of this very new figuring out who I was and what I was going to do. What I have learned now since day one is that he was going to be the dog for my future. What this little sheepadoodle is capable of, I had no idea. I believe in whether it's God or life or serendipity, or if you challenge something in someone, they'll rise to the occasion. But this dog can do anything. He can hike anything. He kayaks with me. So from day one, I get this Ford Transit Connect and I start building it in the parking lot of my apartment. Why? What was my motivation? Get the hell out of here and see some things. I had no idea what I was going to like and what I was going to do and what I was going to see and what was going to work for me, but I needed to see some things. And what was the first thing I wanted to see? Yosemite. I wanted to see the Dawn Wall. I had watched some movies on climbers. I wanted to see the Dawn Wall. I wanted to see El Capitan. I wanted to sleep on the road in front of it. Now, you can't sleep on the road in front of it. There's rules, and I learned that by calling Yosemite and asking, can I sleep in my truck? I had a pickup truck at the time before this van. They said, no, you cannot. So I built out this little van, and I was just dead set on driving to Yosemite. So as I'm doing that, I'm starting to look at maps. I have a big map of the United States and what's around and what's there. And if I'm going to go all the way to California to see Yosemite, what else would I see? And I started to get top 10 road trips or top best things. And believe me, guys, I'm going to make my own videos here coming. So like and subscribe for my top 5, my top 10 of what's going to be ahead, because now, 6 years later, I have done every single thing that can be done, that could be driven to, hiked, camped, kayaked. I learned to kayak. I learned to stand up paddleboard, but I sit on my butt on my paddleboard with my dog, and I have paddled and kayaked with whales in Baja. Okay, so let's go back to the origin story. So I'm building out this van, and how was the build? Terrible. It was a terrible self-build. I did it. Okay, so during COVID, you had to get a reservation to get into Yosemite. I got a reservation. In fact, I'll never forget it. The day I got in that first opportunity to get a reservation through COVID to get into Yosemite, I cried. I cried tears, real tears. It was a girl like me who had not done anything like this ever before in her life. To get into a self-built van and drive to Yosemite was terrifying and exhilarating, and I cried. I was like, I can't believe I'm gonna do this. Okay, so I set my sights on this. I figure out how to get some power, like a little jackery. Everything about the self-build was terrible, but I had watched some videos on how-tos. I've got my own how-tos coming, or maybe they'll already be posted by the time you see this. Okay, so how do I muster up the courage? I was scared. I used to cry when I would get scared too, or things would go wrong. I didn't know I needed glasses. I couldn't see at night. I didn't know my vision had changed. So, because it's not like I'm spending a lot of time in my life driving at night in very remote areas without lights. They don't have lights out in the middle of nowhere when you're driving the highway or when you're driving these remote areas to, say, desert camp in Mojave Desert, or, you know, you're going to all these national parks or whatnot. They're dark skies for a reason. They're dark out there. So I didn't know I needed glasses. So, oh my God, the things I was doing, not knowing any better. And here's what I said. So I had a captain, my very first job on the road. I got a job on the road, was a deckhand in Alaska on a glacier tour boat. I told my captain, you can't know what you don't know. You literally can't know how to do better if you don't know, because you've never done it and you've never been exposed to it. I knew a lot about what I knew in my life because I'd spend every day doing it. But what I knew nothing about was all this other stuff. Literally nothing. Didn't know I couldn't see at night. I didn't know all the amazing things that I would experience because I didn't know they were happening. I dumb lucked into some really magical, beautiful blessings. In Yosemite, a base jumper. I made friends with a base jumper. He told me if I wanted to see him base jump, which is illegal, so I won't say who he is. He said he was going to base jump off of El Cap before the sunrise the next morning. I met him in the meadow. He said, if you want to see it, be here in the valley and you'll watch me base jump, which is so illegal. And I remember I drove in. I was like, of course I want to see this. What? This guy is base jumping? And so I remember driving under in my little Ford Transit Connect, and he was base jumping over me. As he landed, I pulled in. He blew me a kiss. I mean, I didn't know the things that I would experience on the road. I didn't know the magic I was going to see. I remember I was in Florida. I was so frustrated and tired from the drive, trying to free camp. I had no money. I was doing this off of nothing. I had no money. So I'm sleeping, hiding in like a Home Depot parking lot behind the mulch to sleep for free in like 85 degrees Fahrenheit, 100% humidity in Florida Keys. But I didn't know that I would see dolphins literally swimming in the ocean wave first thing in the morning. I was so tired and so cranky, and I was so exhausted. And then dolphins are literally, I had never seen a dolphin like that do that. I didn't know it was a thing that they would dive the waves, surf the waves. The magic that I have seen. You can't know what you don't know. Okay, so here I am 6 years later. I started those trips. I started one trip, and then I got a taste of it. I think it was a handful of days out, under a week. And then I took another trip. I was doing this while we started to get back to work during COVID. Went right back to work. I think they gave us 8 weeks off. I raised Benji, built the van, and I went back to work, and I just didn't tell anybody I was going to do these things because it's my secret. I don't want to, A, tell my clients that I'm leaving because I never told them no, and B, I'm going to probably fail. I don't want anybody telling me I can't do it, that I'm going to fail, because I already have the hugest fears in me that I'm going to fail and that I can't do it. I don't need somebody else saying that. So I just needed to do it without telling people. And I did. And inside that first year, I took 6 trips out, 26,000 miles on this Ford Transit Connect that was barely put together, held by bungee cords and carabiners. Things were moving as I drove. I was failing miserably all the time and rebuilding it as I went. But I saw the Mighty 5 in Utah, the Mighty 5 national parks. I learned that I really loved free camping outside the national parks. All throughout Utah, Dead Horse Point State Park, Goblin Valley State Park. I loved the state parks outside of national parks. I hiked everything I could hike. I put a service vest on Benji. He's not technically medically service, but I trained him. He behaves like a service dog. So he's trained super, super tight. I trained him inside Lowe's and Menards during COVID. heeled up tight, super tight trained, and so he behaves like a service dog. So he's hiked every hike in every national park. We did everywhere that we could get it, do a tour. The capital of the United States. He toured the capital, the United States Capitol. He's toured all the Smithsonians. He can go anywhere. He can go into anything and heel up tight, walk an elevator, escalator. He can do anything. So those 6 trips were massive failures and tastes of what I wanted to experience more of. I had no idea how I was going to monetize this. I never asked for money or help. My ex-husband, it was an abusive marriage, but he also spent my money faster than I can make it. I had no retirement. I had nothing because my money in that relationship, and that is a story for another day, those choices I made to stay with that partner bled me so dry with money. So I was able to rebuild my savings because I'm such a hard worker. So I took a pocket of money and I took a chance. Right after that first year, I sold that Ford Transit Connect, made a little money on it, because I had built it into something now. And now we were in the process of dreams of people starting to watch YouTube and wanting to van life. Hashtag van life. This is us. This is what we're doing. Becoming a thing, and we're all starting to share our videos. I did not share my videos on my builds. Here's why. Because they were terrible. My self-builds, I didn't want to teach anybody how to do it because it was going wrong left and right. I watched other people's videos. I sold that van and I bought a Ford Transit passenger van. And I built it out myself. I pulled the seats out myself. It was so hard. I built it terribly. No climate control. I had no heater, no AC except for what's in the cab when you drive. So when you turn it off, you're on your own with your climate. And I started bucket listing. I told my clients that I was going to take a year off. Did I say a year or did I say I was going to take a little time? In my head, I said a year. I talked it over with a friend. I said, Jessica, what do you think? Can I slip away? Can I take some time off? I had such guilt about leaving. Also terrified about the money. How's the money going to come? I'm going to leave my career. You can't make money when you're not standing behind the chair doing hair as a hairstylist. Also, there was so much of me to think and feel and do away from 7 days a week standing behind the chair, doing hair, talking to my clients who are my family. They were my best friends for 30 years. But there was a whole world out here, a whole world to explore that I didn't know about, and I was dying to see. Okay, so I asked my friend, what do you think? And she said, oh, my daughter is taking a sabbatical, a year between high school and college. Take yourself a sabbatical. Take a year. What'd you call it? A gap year. So here I am. How old was I? If I'm 53 now, and this was 6 years ago, I'm gonna take a gap year? I did. I built that van in the parking lot of my apartment. It was hot as Hades. So hot in that parking lot, no shade. There was a gal who had done this. She was coming and going in a self-built van. She lived in that apartment. She would give me some tips every once in a while, just enough to take the fear out of the unknown, like the potty situation. You don't have running water and you don't have a potty in this thing. How are you going to do it? I figured it out. I had my own scenario, my own situation that I actually, for 4 years in that van, rocked it. Those are the things in the beginning that freaked me out so much. They literally were, I say, you're the Christina before something and you're the Christina after it. I was the person I was going to be before I knew something, and then I was going to be the person after it. Before it, I would be afraid, it'd be weird or yucky or impossible. And then I'd figure it out. And then I was this Christina afterwards who had all this confidence, like, I'm doing it. I can do it. I got this. So I tell my clients I'm going to leave. I figure out these little things in the van that I can make work. They were a terrible build, but I did it anyway. I jumped in that van and I took off with a little money that I had saved. I cashed out a Vanguard Savings retirement fund. That was terrifying. I did not have a safety net. I still don't. Money's a whole nother story. I am not going to be your financial advisor on this. I did not figure out how to get rich. I did not do a YouTube channel. I started it in the beginning, but I did not spend my days doing that, monetizing that. What I did do instead was go see things that I wanted to see, go learn how to kayak, go hike things that were past my comfort level, go explore areas that were beyond my realm of reality of what I didn't know existed. I learned about myself, what I was capable of. I learned about my dog, what he was capable of. I met people. I lived on pennies. I camped for free as much as possible, sleeping wherever I could sleep in this van. From deserts to mountains to beaches to snowy areas, in all climates, freezing, hot, you name it, roughing it, sufferfest, to see and do the neatest things I could figure out to see and do. And I have been from Omaha, Nebraska to Baja to Alaska and everywhere in between the United States for 6 years, over 10 times back and forth on that Alcan and the Baja Peninsula. So up and down every spring and fall, I would make my way up, and I found work as a glacier deckhand on a glacier tour boat in Alaska, and then a tour guide in Alaska because I became a professional. All the things that filled my heart now that made me so excited, so mind blown away. I can now share with people and teach them and show them about the things that I had learned, and made those my seasonal jobs in Alaska. For 4 years I worked up there, and then I would go down to Baja and I would spend the winter down on the beaches camping for free as much as possible, or paying with the little money I saved from working as the tour guide. And I would paddle with blue whales and mobile rays, and I would figure out where to go and what to see. And so for the last 6 years, I have turned myself into, in my opinion, the most capable person I know. And I am not bragging. I don't know anything about anything. I can barely work a computer. I'm learning it. I'm learning things because I didn't spend a lot of time and energy on it. I learned Starlink so that I could have Wi-Fi and have Wi-Fi this last year. I had an RV this last year. I sold the van and I bought an RV, and I had amazing hot showers and electric blankets and a heater I rebuilt. What I ended up learning was what was important to me. I put 1,000 watts of solar on this RV. I rebuilt the heater. I put in a Jackery 3600. I learned about power. I learned about what was important to me. I learned about provisions. I learned how to resource them out. I'm extraordinarily resourceful, tenacious. I have grit. I have fortitude. I learned these things because of my past, coming from that abusive relationship. And before that, I had a really tough childhood. What I found, that I had a skill set that I could push through really hard things. I had drive. I had ambition. And then doing all these things the hard way and failing and then succeeding at some things and getting some really magical payoffs, I learned that I could trust myself, that I'm going to show up for myself, that I can learn something, that I'm teachable, and that if I could do it, you can do it. I'm not going to say anybody can do anything, but what I am going to say, because I'm not going to base jump. What I can say is this: a lot of things are really teachable and really doable if you apply yourself. And what I learned about me is that given the motivation and given the payoff, and oh my God, paddling with blue whales, the payoff. Or hiking a glacier. I hiked Harding Ice Field twice by myself. That's in Alaska. That's the biggest ice field on our continent, by myself. Well, my dog had to stay in the van because dogs can't do that one. The hikes I've done, the things I've done, I've seen whales bubble net feed more times now than I could count. Whales bubble net feeding are super special to me. I've pet a whale's face down in Baja. I drove out into the most remote desert to get myself to this area to get on a panga. I got a gal to take me out, her and her brother, to take me out by myself to pet whales' faces in Magdalene Bay, Port of Chalet I was at. The things I've done and the payoffs I've gotten have taught me that the juice is worth the squeeze. I was squeezed a lot. It was so hard. And who I am today, what I'm capable of is that I know that I can trust myself, that I'm gonna learn, that I'm not too old to learn. I'm 53 and I can learn something new. I'll figure out a new way to make money and make my way forward. I'm off the road right now. I'll figure it out. And you can figure it out. You can go see what you want to see and do what you want to do inside your means or outside your means and figure out new ways to get means. At any age, it's totally doable and possible. And sometimes, no, it's not worth it. Sometimes it was a sufferfest. Sometimes it was hard. And I was like, this sucks so bad. This is hard. Sometimes the magic is so beyond what you could ever expect. And ain't that life? That's totally life. Okay, so that's my story there. There's a lot more to it, but we'll stop here. There'll be more videos on hows to and what's and whys. So don't forget to like and subscribe and share. Okay, thanks guys.